So how would I describe this previous season for the New York Knicks? Well, it wasn't good. I think that's the best way I can put it. They had some excitement as they made some moves, trading for Derrick Rose and signing Joakim Noah, thinking that these two veteran pieces could be something for them, and it hasn't really gone well. So we can talk about the future of the New York Knicks for this upcoming season, as well as, I guess, some years down the road, and they have some tough decisions to make, but luckily they have one great thing going for them, and that's Kristaps Porzingis. He took a big step up this season, averaging around, 18 points a game, 8 rebounds, the three-pointer was legit, and it seems like he's going to be, at least offensively, one of the top players in the NBA, and it might come just this upcoming season. It seems his ability with the ball in his hands, he's shown some abilities one-on-one, posting up, shooting from everywhere. He just seems like the perfect big man for today's NBA. Now, do I think the talent around him is perfect? No, and I don't think it completely caters to his skill set, which is definitely going to be a theme of this video, and some of the decisions the Knicks have to make moving forward is they have to keep Porzingis in mind with, a potential point guard and the big man to play next to him. All these things they have to take into account. Now we can talk about the other star player, Carmelo Anthony, and I will say now, between Carmelo Anthony and Phil Jackson, I am 100% on Melo's side. I think Phil Jackson has handled that relationship unprofessionally and immaturely this entire season. I would fire Phil Jackson, honestly. Not just for those things, but also a lot of questionable basketball decisions along the way. Here's the thing with Melo. His early termination option is up after this upcoming season. I don't think he's going to come back. I can't really see a world where at that time, 33, soon to be 34-year-old Carmelo Anthony returns to the Knicks. So if you could find a move to trade him, then I definitely think you should do it. I mean, I saw a rumor of Jay Crowder for Melo because the Knicks wanted him out that badly. I mean, if you were able to get Jay Crowder, a quality two-way player who's on a really good contract, as well as a non-Brooklyn pick from the Celtics, I mean, if it's between that and letting Melo go, I'd say that's a pretty damn good return. And I'm saying all this because, again, I just assume he's going to say to himself, okay, look, I re-signed with you guys once. It's been a train wreck pretty much the entire time. Just let me get out of here. Now, if he actually did want to stay, I would definitely consider keeping him because I think he can be a quality number 2 guy next to Porzingis, and I think he can age pretty gracefully. They have Courtney Lee, who's cool. He can play defense, and the Knicks definitely need some guys who can do that. And he's a nice 4th or 5th starter who can hit open shots and not really have to do too much to make an impact. So I say, you might as well just keep Courtney Lee on your roster. 3-and-D guy who just doesn't really hurt you. Nice quality player and all that. Then we can talk about the center position. It says Willie, but some people say it's actually Billy. I don't frickin' know. Hernan Gomez at the 5 spot. Seems like a pretty intriguing guy. Is he the ideal center next to Porzingis? I don't know. I think we're going to find that out in time. But he has shown a lot of craftiness around the rim. Seems like he could be a post-up player. There's a couple of questions I do have with him is outside of his scoring and his rebounding, or more specifically, besides his scoring around the basket, can he have an offensive game outside of the paint, perhaps able to hit mid-range jumpers? And I know he can grab rebounds, but can he be a real defensive player? And whether the Knicks feel like he's their center of the future or not, I feel could really impact their draft situation moving forward. I mean, if he's not going to be a real defender for you, you really can't start at the 5 in today's NBA. And now we get to the point guard position. I would not re-sign Derrick Rose for a few reasons. His decline as a playmaker, averaging around 4 assists this season, not a three-point shooter, not a defensive player. Derrick Rose, I mean, to me, he's just not really a huge, impactful starting point guard anymore. I would simply let him walk. I would not re-sign him at a discount. I just don't want Derrick Rose. I think they need to move on from him, and I think they need to really go for a point guard in the upcoming draft, because that position in today's NBA is just so important. But also, Jeff Hornacek, their head coach, has run really quality pick-and-roll offense in the past, specifically with the Phoenix Suns, and I think one point guard they could have their eye on is Dennis Smith. Now, the Knicks right now are slated to have the 7th pick. At this point, there's only 2 point guards left. It's either Dennis Smith or it's Frank Ntilikina, who is an overseas player. And these guys have some different characteristics about them. So when we go to Dennis Smith, very athletic, and seems like a guy who you can run plays for to get him going downhill towards the basket, and NBA teams are going to have a lot of trouble defending it. He kind of has like a similar template to Russell Westbrook, honestly, but there is a risk with him in that his head coach was fired. He's not a natural playmaker. Sometimes he likes to over-dribble and take long two-pointers, and his three-pointer is not as natural as you want it to be. I think there is definitely a risk with Dennis Smith, and I mean, some of the people who were fans of the college he went to, which the name actually escapes me at the moment, you might not find them saying a lot of glowing things about his overall season. I think that's definitely a concern. Now, with Ntilikina, here's a direct quote from Draft Express. It says, "Defense, perimeter shooting, and basketball IQ give him tremendous versatility in today's NBA." So in other words, he's a safe pick. Number one, he plays defense, which the Knicks were terrible at last season. They're going to need someone who can defend all these other NBA point guards, but he gives off a very team-first kind of vibe, as opposed to Dennis Smith, where he doesn't really know if he's a scorer or he's a playmaker, and he sometimes over-dribbles. Frank is team first, and he's actually more of like a second option kind of guy who could play off of Porzingis, and I kind of get like a Mike Conley vibe from him, and that might be the safe pick for these Knicks. Now, if they decide not to go with a point guard, there's a chance Malik Monk could be available around number 7 or 6 or wherever the hell the Knicks get in that area. I mean, yeah, Monk could end up being a real scorer in the NBA and a shooter and all that's nice, but, you know, Porzingis hasn't really taken off defensively yet. There's questions about Hernan Gomez's defense. They could improve, but personally, I would just be way more secure with going with a guy who plays defense, like right out of the gate, especially when I'm the Knicks, especially when I'm a franchise that just needs something in terms of stability. Sometimes a safer pick is the option. Now, I was talking about defense. There's also Jared Allen, who is around number 10 in the NBA mock draft. He is known for his physical nature, as he's pretty damn athletic at the center position, but his defense is a real thing as well as rim protection, and he seems to move along the floor pretty well. So the Knicks, I mean, they signed Joakim Noah to basically play that role, and it didn't work out at all. Perhaps Jared Allen could be that guy. I mean, offensively, he's probably not going to do too much for you, but if he can make a huge impact on defense, that might be the way to go. Now, what happens with Hernan Gomez in a situation like that? I mean, maybe you give him the Enes Kanter treatment, where he's your low-post scorer as well as rebounder off the bench, and then you have the defender in Jared Allen actually starting. It's an idea. So, clearly, I believe that they should be going for a defensive approach. I think point guard is the way they should go, and I think that's what they will end up doing. Now we can move on to free agency. The one guy I would re-sign is Justin Holiday because, I mean, he's a nice, solid backup shooting guard. Shoots like 35% from 3, can play defense. If he's willing to re-sign, I would definitely do it. Not for too much, of course. Besides that, with their cap space and all that, the guy who would be perfect for them would be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope because he's an athlete who can shoot threes and play defense. Problem is, the Pistons are going to match any sort of offer you give to him, and I also wouldn't throw anything more than like maybe 13 or 14 million at him anyway. So I think the Knicks, they need guys like Pope, you know? Just athletes who can be defenders and hopefully three-point shooters. If you can find anybody under the radar like that, you should definitely go in that direction. Now, if for some reason they don't draft a point guard, then I think they should immediately look to Drew Holiday, who can be a defender, three-point shooter, and an overall quality point guard. Who knows if he'd actually be wanting to leave New Orleans. And the other one would be George Hill. I think both of these guys could make immediate impacts for the Knicks. But then again, if you end up trading Carmelo Anthony, then you probably set yourself back a few seasons when it comes to winning. And if that's the case, maybe these guys would not be the right option for you. But I mean, there was a rumor that they were looking at Drew Holiday anyway, so I might as well say it. I should also make a note. I think Darren Collison could be a good piece for them, whether they draft a point guard or not, because I think he can be a really good backup. And just having a point guard who's efficient, can shoot from everywhere, and knows how to make a play could be the exact sort of stability the Knicks need running their second unit. Going from Brandon Jennings to Collison, that'd be like night and day. A couple other small free agent moves. I think Taj Gibson can make a lot of sense here, being perhaps your first big man off the bench. I think JaMychal Green could make a lot of sense as well, although I do think Memphis would be willing to go at least kind of up there to make sure that he stays with them. But I think his defense and, being decent from three, he could be a really good sixth man for the Knicks, but I wouldn't go too crazy there in terms of like throwing all your money at basically role players. The big thing is Carmelo Anthony. I think they should trade him because I just don't think he's going to come back. But at the same time, it's not like you can just trade him to anybody in the league because his contract is very short and he also has the no trade clause. So, I mean, who knows? You may be forced to get like 60 cents on the dollar for the guy. But regardless, the Knicks have some decisions to make. But the fact that they have Porzingis makes it all kind of okay. If you nail it in the draft to get a number 2 guy next to him, you'd get a good move for Carmelo. I think things could be looking up.